There's a reason that Wii Sports is still relevant in pop culture to this day. It became a phenomenon that everyone wanted in on, and it provided you with some of the most accessible and fun multiplayer experiences that have ever been released. Either that, or the music is just really good. Wii Sports may have been the best-selling game on the system, but at a distant second place was Mario Kart Wii. This entry, along with the DS one, was where I feel modern Mario Kart got its start. And my god, it was popular. 37 million copies. Mine even happens to be refurbished. Do you see that? Some kind of refurbished logo right there. What is... I never knew what that... I never looked into it, so I don't know if I have some crazy expensive $1 million copy of Mario Kart Wii, but... Want to know why it sold so well? We'll take a look at what Mario's holding right here. Do you see that? What is that, you may ask? And to that I say, are you living under a rock? This is the Wii Wheel. Much like Wii Sports, Nintendo wanted to make this as immersive and realistic as possible. So what you do is this. In order to cash in on the motion control craze that they started 2 years prior, they made a little plastic shell to put the Wii remote in. It doesn't actually add any features to the remote like a nunchuck or the classic controller do. It's just there for some sort of sick placebo effect. This game, crazily enough, plays like a Mario Kart game. It isn't as slippery and go-karty as the previous games, but it's also not as precise and tight as the newest in the series. After going back to it, I'd say it's a great balance in terms of control. It's a lot of fun. There are 16 brand spanking new tracks along with 16 remakes of retro tracks from games prior. As a kid, I had no idea, but now it's pretty obvious. I'm not going to say this game looks bad, but it does have some artistic decisions that I don't really find appealing. Yeah, I don't like this game's art style at all. The character models are no better than Double Dash. The colors are very desaturated. Everything looks like it has some sort of mirage effect on it. Like, look at it. Ugh. Look at these bland, boring Microsoft Word font choices. What is there to say other than Double Dash looks better than this game? It's not a bad game, it's a really good game, but I just hate how it looks. Mario Kart is always a blast, especially with other people. The tracks in this game are some of the most acclaimed in the whole series, so well designed. I don't know anybody who doesn't enjoy Coconut Mall. Maple Treeway is a favorite of mine, driving through this massive, you guessed it, maple tree, dodging giant bugs, finishing off with a giant bouncy net at the end. Mushroom Gorge and its reliance on bouncy mushroom tops is a lot of fun. Toad's Factory has an amazing song and creates lore about where the item boxes come from, which is something I've been dying to know. Koopa Cape has an underwater glass pipe, Moonview Highway has you driving through a busy city and mountainside, and Mario Kart Wii's rendition of Rainbow Road is easily my favorite in the entire series. Watch me jump over the big hole. Like most of the people who played this game, you probably just played with the Wii Remote on its side, which worked well enough, but it could be unresponsive at times. And with the lack of physical feedback, like with an analog stick, it's hard to know when you're overturning, underturning. Some people like to hold it flat and go like this, some people like to hold it straight, go like this. The lack of physical feedback made it a problem. Good game though. This was one of the few Nintendo Wii games that had good online multiplayer. While I was searching for photos to use for editing, I found this mock-up box art. A mock-up of a Wii case. We have the giant Wi-Fi logo. We have stock font Toad's Factory, the game, with some, I'm guessing, MS Paint lines drawn right here. We have a nice 2000s render of Toad with Mario Kart 64 renders. We have a drug deal of some kind going on back here. We have Toad's Factory in the background. Creative Factory, Toad style. Developed by Square Enix. What the fuck? God, this is so of its time. It's hilarious. Yeah, 2008. By Brainy T. I want to see what the comments have to say. This is my first box art. I made a few mistakes. What do you think? You made this in Paint, right? Quick question. Do you think this is a good box art, personally? I'm sorry, but this is a horrible game idea. For your sake, this should be real. The box, on the other hand, isn't that bad to me. I actually really like the idea you had for the front cover, but using different quality screens and renders wasn't a good idea. What? Must. Favorite box art.
Kirby's Epic Yarn is quite the unique Kirby game in terms of art direction. This game takes place on various new locations sewn from the needle of yin yarn. Being the first console Kirby game in years, it plays just as you'd expect Kirby game to, but I can't stress enough how much the art style contributes to the experience. It was the perfect inspiration for crafting little Kirbys out of yarn as a kid. New Super Mario Bros. Wii, stupid title aside, was the first 2D Mario game released on a home console in decades. Because of such, there were definitely definitely problems with it that people turned a blind eye to at the time, but with the inclusion of 4-player multiplayer, it was a great return to 2D Mario regardless.
I have a lot of memories of this one. I was lucky enough to get to experience the entire game with 3 other people, those being my brother and our friends. While 4-player co-op is hectic to the point where it's nearly unplayable, it was still one of the best multiplayer experiences I've ever had. Pokemon Battle Revolution is a successor to Pokemon Stadium and Pokemon Coliseum in a way. You transfer your Pokemon from the DS onto the big screen to have detailed, beautiful 3D battles that embarrassingly trumps the quality of Pokemon that we get today. And honestly, it was really fun and amazing to get to see my childhood Pokemon